Design is problem solving.
What does IDO mean?
That's a myth. To say that design is a creative field only is a myth. You have to put a price to your creativity. The problem is that nobody knows what that price is.
I'm just waiting for that reaction.
Reaction. Creative fields, sometimes more than the earning, you actually want appreciation. Half the job is done because you got that opportunity. Zero job is done if you did not use that opportunity. Design make creativity is 20%. Every time you don't need to be creative or reinvent the wheel.
You need to look for the solution. The buyers will eventually come.
We want to evolve as super conscious human beings, not superhuman beings. Augmented intelligence. Use both these powers together. Think of doing things better, faster, quicker to be able to.
Hey Sunny, what are we doing here today?
So we are here to shoot the first founder video of BTD with Mr. Niraj Shah, who's the founder of IDO Design. They have done everything from farms to films to products to branding, marketing to restaurants. I guess that experience comes with a lot of knowledge, and that's what we want to share. And we want to sort of bring those things out from him. Let's see how it goes. What does IDO mean? And why did that name feel so right for you to start with it?
We've lived with this name for almost about 25 years now, and it's been called IDO, especially because a lot of people call it IDO or IDO graph. So IDO actually is an artificial auxiliary language, and it is a refined version of Esperanto. So there are linguists who created an artificial language called IDO. There are IDOites in the world. When I came across this during my thesis, which I was working on semantics and semiotics. And I thought a nice, cute three-letter word is nice. You don't really come by something like this. Design itself is a universal language. We thought IDO makes sense because design is a universal language. And linguists trying to create an artificial auxiliary language, which is a universal language that everybody could speak in the world, is what they were trying to design. So Esperanto is kind of more successful, but IDO was more refined. Actually, a lot of people joke about it and say, I do. But I said, actually, our philosophy to we wali hai. Even as teams are made to understand this in the first week itself. I didn't do anything. We did everything. Even if you did it, you have an ownership, fine. But the moment you start taking credit for what you're doing, what you're working on, that means that when there is a problem, are you ready to face the music alone, singularly, or you want to face the music as a team? So it comes back as a team. So it's always we do and not I do. So we're not I do, we're IDO.
In this field, in a creative field, it is a collective effort. So that's a basic, mindset. I automatically say, we have decided this, we wanted to do this. Correct. I understand. I started my company 7 years back. I'm still in a learning curve. I'm still exploring a lot of things. I really want to know, where were you at that stage of your life when you were starting this company? What was your state of mind then?
Completely lost for two reasons. One is because being from Bombay, having studied here at CEPT, my idea was to go back, just start off in Bombay itself. But we, as a couple of friends together during campus, got a lot of stuff, experience actually to do things. That also gave us a lot of choice. And because having studied interior design, we had scope to do interiors, but we were also taught graphic design and furniture design and events, and I worked in music videos and set design. It was only after that set design stint that we decided that we want to start off on our own. And we means my partner, that time she was not my wife, but we knew that we were going to be together. She's the one who's actually the more organized, focused and visionary. For me, it was like, it comes in, attack it, do it, enjoy it, and fine. For a design firm to even think of proper commercial, expensive commercial space on CG Road to be an office back then was a big deal. And this is, I'm talking about exactly in 2000. So this is in about 99, 2000 when we still didn't have an office. And obviously we started from home. And in fact, abhi to home mein yahan pe nahi tha. So we used to have one visiting card with her residential address of Gandhinagar and my Bombay address on it. And we were still trying to get work in Ahmedabad. So, we used to just, that was it. So, koi office nahi thi, koi jagah nahi thi. And that time we didn't have cafes to meet and co-working spaces like we have today. The answer to that is being lost, not actually knowing, where we are going. But one thing was for sure. Anything that was design related, it was yes.
At your learning period, was there any mentor or someone you look up to?
Your mentorship can come from multiple factors. There have been two mentors in life, okay, in terms of the profession itself. One is from education itself, from your teachers. Pre joining the course, there have been two people who've been influential big time. One was my uncle, my Masa, who was an architect from SEPT, and he's had his, one of the hugest practices in Ahmedabad. And I was exposed to sites, etc., vacation, and all. I used to go with him when he used to have a site in Bombay. I used to go with him in 8th standard, 9th standard, and that was where the architecture ka keeda came in. I had another close neighbor, Mr. Seth. He was an advertising professional. He was a creative director with Everest Advertising. And he was another influence, because all shoots used to happen there. We used to go for shoots. The exposure to design, interior design, architecture, and graphic design and advertising was there since the start. So these obviously became kind of, where you saw certain things of a certain level. कि उससे नीचे तो हो ही नहीं सकता. Then obviously, luckily, and as fate would have it, getting into SEPT, from Bombay. So having that exposure and then getting SEPT.
This is also one of the reason why I started this platform, because as you had this amazing education experience, I somehow didn't get that. Whatever I learned in my field, it was more on the set. I started out as a writer. My job was to sit in a vanity van and just write the next few dialogues the actor is going to speak. I started out like that. When I started entering the sets, I started realizing, okay, I can do a lot more than that. So I learned most of the things while doing it. That is why I started this, so that I can meet people like you and sort of really understand this psychology behind it. I'm trying to do the same thing in my company as well. Before telling an employee that, okay, this was wrong, I need to make sure that he's accountable enough.
Yeah.
Or sort of they've learnt enough.
True.
Then I can tell them that now you're doing it wrong. Till that point, I cannot tell them.
But you make a very interesting point. I mean, this is still as once you start working and have your own organization. But I tell you, this is a great point for a lot of people to understand and know that these are multiple ways of approaching a career of something that you wish to do and like to do. I'll tell you, ये लगेगा at some point कि अगर there is good education, especially a good institute, half your job is done. Half the job is done because you got that opportunity. Zero job is done if you did not use that opportunity. Anybody coming from a good design school or good education for any field should not take it for granted. Definitely. Both times. एक तो एडमिशन मिल जाता है तो आधे लोग तो उसी में दे टेक इट फॉर ग्रांटेड दैट वो नाउ आई एम इन अ गुड इंस्टीट्यूट, तो वो छप्पा लग गया तो उससे अच्छा मतलब आप वो मशीन में चले गए एंड दैट मशीन इज गोइंग टू बाय द एंड ऑफ 5 years or 4 years is going to make you a fantastic product. No, you have to do what you have to do. वो मशीन नहीं कर रहा है, right?
You have to show up every day.
Correct. And learn and use those opportunities. And I feel opportunities meaning if you're getting that kind of faculty, if you don't apply yourself to that particular exercise that is given to you, then also nothing will happen. You've got all your information available, but when you sit in a library and read those 4 pages, it's a lot of effort. Because of that effort, you remember it better. So you learn better. The other is like where you are applying yourself every day, every moment, being conscious of the fact that this is an opportunity and I need to learn. और यहीं पे हमें लर्न भी करना है और यहीं पे अर्न भी करना है और यहीं पे देना भी है, यहीं पे प्रूव भी करना है, यहीं पे वैलिडेशन भी चाहिए.
जीना है, मरना है,
सब वहीं पे. उतने में यू आर डूइंग सो मेनी थिंग्स एंड पॉसिबिलिटीज ऑफ फेलियर, वैलिडेशन, नॉन वैलिडेशन, सब हो गया. काम ठीक ठाक हो गया, पैसा भी मिल गया, वी आर ओके काइंड ऑफ हैप्पी, बट स्टिल यू आर नॉट हैप्पी. व्हाई? बिकॉज अगेन दैट मे बी देन money came in, validation didn't come in. Nobody appreciated it. And a lot of times it happens in creative fields, sometimes more than the earning, you actually want appreciation. And earning भी ठीक ठाक है, उसके बाद भी we are waiting कि अरे यार एक बार तो बोल, अरे यार मजा आया, बस इतना बोल दो यार, हमें मजा ही करना है.
That's a kick. That's a kick,
and that prepares us for 3 more projects.
Whenever we are submitting a project to the client, I'm just waiting for that reaction.
Reaction, correct.
यार कि बोलो ना यार कि कैसा लगा, because that is the ultimate satisfaction. That point where the client looks at the preview of the film like, oh wow, this is done actually nice. तो I was like, बस यही चाहिए था. पैसा सर हो जाएगा, आगे पीछे देख लेंगे, यही चाहिए था. Coming to this same passion as a founder, because being a creative founder, the problem is to balance between creativity and business side. So somewhere I feel I also struggle with it. That sometimes my passion gets really heavy, but the project is not that budgetly heavy. So how do you sort of balance those things?
I mean, that's a myth. To say that design is a creative field only is a myth. Design make creativity is 20%. Every time you don't need to be creative or reinvent the wheel. Design is problem solving. Does it work? Somebody's come to you for certain things. A lot of times we discuss and we argue that okay, somebody's come for to design their house. What is the problem that you're solving? There are standards given. Seats, seaters, sofas, single seats, chairs, dining table, uski heights, ये वो सब fixed है. You're not really reinventing that wheel. But now what is important is to be able to understand what is their aspiration. They've got to be happy in their house. Our philosophy is, for both of us, is that it must first function correctly. So your basic problems should not happen. अगर उनके घर में उनको 20 wardrobe चाहिए for storage, we can tell them that was थोड़ा सा declutter करो, तो 20 का 18 होगा. लेकिन lot of designers today have told lot of people, नहीं नहीं, 8 ही wardrobe मिलेंगे. अरे boss, they are paying for it. It's their house. They bought their house. Explain to them. Spend time. So that it is an informed decision, so dukh nahi ho. If somebody is making a new house, moving into a new place, then it's not your creative pursuit only. Now that's where the business part comes in. The moment you are able to satisfy and solve problems, that means the business part will always happen. Creativity is not a pressure.
What I really feel the issue is that people are running behind in putting a price tag on their creativity or their process or whatever the business that they are doing, especially in our field. Their main goal is that, okay, if I put my price somewhere around this, I'll have buyers. What you said correctly was that you need to look for the solution. The buyers will eventually come if you're providing right solutions.
This is a typical entrepreneur issue. So to solve that problem, from day one, get into a proper organization structure. Know from day one what you want to be. You can do certain turnkey projects. You can say that, okay, we'll do 4-5 turnkey projects, which actually give us a good amount of money coming in from there. And then the rest are consulting projects. You can do 2 different types of practices within one practice. You can have products. A lot of people do that. So there are multiple ways.
Multiple ways, yes. For the first 5 years in my company, we were like very old school and we were turning into dinosaur, really, honestly. We changed that part and now I know in just last 2 years, I've seen another wave of work. I really understand where you are coming from. In any business, not everything is successful, not everything goes well, or sometimes some things don't work out. So are there any work that you are really not proud of, but ठीक है तब करना पड़ा, situation थी या commitment हो गया था, whatever. Was there any work like that?
That's what design is. The moment you do it and you're looking at all your knowledge, all your understanding of that particular time, approach to that project in a certain manner. A lot of times in the earlier stages that has happened, and I mean umpteen number of times. ऐसा नहीं just once, where that little point of dissatisfaction is there. We are more inclusive. तो ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि झगड़े हुए हैं और payment hasn't come in and all of that. It has थोड़ा delayed, थोड़ा ये, थोड़ा फिर कट कुटा के. Then you realize that कि by the end of it इनकी नियति ऐसी थी. But ठीक है, we are not changing ourselves or the way we think based on 1 or 2 experiences like that. So the battle scar was always onto the receiving end of the agencies and vendors. And jab tak we used to tell them that we will not take our final fees till all those payments are not done. But it's not been such that where something has completely gone crazily wrong. No, luckily that has not happened. Yeah, not being proud of, that's another thing. From a creative side, that this could have been better every time. Every time it happens that oh shit, this could have been better. Sometimes it has happened that the clients or people who come there, they love it, and then you're like, okay, ठीक है, good enough. But you know that and we do that. We have a full internal review even after the project is done, and we say, okay, because other teams who were not working on that, we say, okay, review karo, chalo, so then you learn out of it, and certain things were justified, certain things were okay, certain things were circumstantial, but overall, sometimes that you need to push even harder.
I do the same thing after every film we submit. I have a call with my core HODs and I tell them that, yeah, where we messed it up. Client though approved the first cut, but you know
Correct,
where we
correct,
messed it up.
correct.
You really know कहाँ क्या गलत हो
हाँ,
गया.
see, because उसमें इतनी सारी technicalities भी है, right?
Yes, yes. So we know that okay. So it is just for our better growth. We do
Exactly.
that because we don't want to mess it up next time.
Correct.
That's the only reason. वो client या फिर audience को नहीं पता चलता फिल्म पे कि अच्छा वो वहाँ पे वो गलत हुआ.
Correct.
But हमें पता है वो एक अगर वो एक पीछे लाइट ब्लिंक हो रही थी वो भी है तो वो हमें पता है. वो हमें दिख जाता है. After nearly 25 years of experience, you get an opportunity to sit with the younger Neeraj. And if he's sitting across with you on this chair, what would you tell him? And what would you tell him not to change ever?
पूरा reflective mode में one would be to very strongly write things which I don't do, which is a habit that my dad used to push a lot, and Minali is very very particular about it. So she kind of notes and writes everything. For me, they are scribbles. At any point there'll be about 8 to 10 diaries, and I would tell my younger self that keep 1 or 2 diaries which are segregated well, and things are written in that, whatever, whether it's ideas, whether it's thoughts, whether it is commitment, whether whatever. Nothing has gone wrong too much without it, but I can now imagine how amazing things would have been with that as a habit. And what I would not change is my love for people. I just love meeting people. Maybe only 10 minutes is good enough to talk to somebody, but if I'm enjoying it, I'll take 20. And I know I'm getting delayed somewhere else just because of my joy of actually having conversations or meeting people. So that I don't think I'll change much, but yes, I need to be a little more aware.
I'm very curious about your opinion on this because as you said you started in 2000s 99 तब का referencing was something else. Now people come up with reels and Pinterest and जैसे मेरे साथ हुआ था कि we did an amazing campaign. एजेंसी ने तो कुछ बहुत छोटा सा करने को बोल दिया था कि जाके वो टाउनशिप में छोटा सा शूट करके आ जाओ. बट वी वेंट देयर लाइक इट्स अ प्रोजेक्ट फॉर इंडिपेंडेंस डे, हाउ कैन वी डू इट अ स्मॉल. हम लोग ने पूरा परेड करवाया, क्राउड को गैदर किया, वी मेक देम, जो रियल लोग थे वहाँ के उनको रेडी किया, दे ऑल केम इन ट्राई कलर्स, सब कुछ किया. आफ्टर दैट प्रोजेक्ट वाज सबमिटेड, समवन फ्रॉम द क्लाइंट्स ऑफिसेस, ये मेरे भांजे ने ये कुछ ऐसे शॉट्स लिए थे, आपने ऐसे क्यों नहीं लिए? समथिंग like this, has it happened to you?
Yeah, a lot. Earlier, it used to happen as references from magazines. Like in the first 3 to 5 years of our practice, and that time a lot of Ekta Kapoor serials and TV had just started, or there used to be movie references. So people actually used to say, "एक मिनट, मैं अभी ये देख रहा हूँ, तो आप ये सीरियल अभी 10:30 also call would come, अरे अभी ये सीरियल चल रही है, आप एक मिनट अभी ऑन करिए, और पीछे ये जो बेड है ये So these kind of things happen, those references used to happen. We actually have a Pinterest day. So we have a day where we say that after the layout is done and signed, then we call the entire family, because sometimes the kids in the house, they've done their research. Sometimes now there are younger clients as well, and they've done their research. So one thing we need to understand, as being inclusive, we need to understand what they are looking for. Now, if we are very clear about the concept, then we can tell them very clearly what to accept and what to reject. So our concepts need to be very clear. We need to combat it in different ways. One is that understand it as their aspiration. First, understand what they're trying to say and use it only as a communication method. Initially, if done, it would stop that whole process, because it is a problem. It is a deviation from your thought process. So I can understand that,
because वो available options ना आपका mind बहुत ज़्यादा divert कर लेता है, and instead of looking at one direction, you start looking at options. अच्छा ये भी तो हो सकता है, ये भी तो हो सकता है. Not the practical, they are not practical solutions basically. Now that the entire world, I won't say entering, we are already there in the world of AI. What is your opinion on it? Why I'm asking this question is because I recently sat with a friend who is a brilliant designer. And I know he's brilliant. I've seen his work. He was a bit sad, or whenever he, like when he met me, he was a bit down. He said a line which stayed back. He was like, I somehow pity the new designers who come with AI as a reference point now, because there is no groundwork there. So what is your opinion on that?
If your conceptual thinking, conceptual understanding of things is good, then it does not matter if anything like this comes in which could challenge our thought process. If the thought process is weak, then this is always going to challenge, and we will become completely handicapped and be so dependent on something like this. Because what does it do? It does things that we always desire, right? कि हम superhuman हो सकते हैं. And we love that whole concept of being super. This is being superhuman, or it is almost enabling you to become superhuman. But no, it is always one step ahead, correct? Because it has speed. Now you got to figure out how you wish to utilize this, whether you want to use, and there are two things I always say. One is that AI can give you quality, or it can give you speed. What are you going for? To begin with, it can give you speed and quality, which is a fact. What we are not understanding is we are putting it separately from humans. It will never be separate. Now is the time it's merging, and we have no scope of ignoring it. Accept it. Acha, now how do you do it? What do you do with it? You need to understand yourself as well to be able to utilize it better. Let's look at it from only design, creativity, generative AI idea, agentic, where you're actually utilizing it at a much larger, closer, everyday level, or in a large powerhouse manner, is augmented intelligence. That today we can actually think of doing things better, faster, quicker, to be able to use both these powers together to reduce time or improve quality, or both. How does that help? Now people should know that what you are talking about just little before AI was work-life balance. People going into this whole idea of a better, happier life. मुझे ये भी करना है, वो भी करना है, ये भी करना है. तो करो ना. अब AI will help you do that. All these things is all accessible now much more than earlier. But all this will become more accessible to you because in a shorter period of time, you may be able to make enough money to be able to utilize it there, to be able to allow you that time of that break. You're just starting off, so there'll be too much of learning. दोनों खुद को भी समझना पड़ेगा, उसको भी समझना पड़ेगा. But finally, the future is where we are able to use both these things together to actually realize and understand who we are as human beings. If your own cognitive processes are not in place and your concepts are not clear, you will not be able to even utilize it well. Realizing that you've actually thought that you saved time, but you actually ended up wasting time because you didn't have your filters correct. So it is a filtration process which will happen only if your own conceptual thinking is strong. And the mind needs to be sharper to even utilize it better. So that does not mean that if we become lazy, then the whole civilization will kind of completely succumb to it, and we will be controlled and ruled by machines, because it will do its job and all we will be doing is breathing and doing certain tasks that we are supposed to do. Correct? I don't think the human race wishes to go there. Right? We want to evolve as super conscious human beings, not superhuman beings. Let the machines do that, but we evolve ourselves from the mental processes, and this is the time where we will be able to go to that level with that help.
With the help of AI,
yes.
yeah.
So it will be augmented consciousness.
Yeah, this is the same thing when computers came in. People had the same thing कि humans की job चली जाएगी, ये हो जाएगा. It created billion jobs. Humans will find their space on their own to create. आपको कैसे करना है तो nothing can replace you. How would you define the culture at IDO Design?
It is open, it is happy, it's internal, conducive to learning, and the whole focus is on learning, which means that there is a lot of internal teaching, learning happening, where there is a lot of sharing that happens. Zero politics. There is nothing like politics because there's almost no hierarchy. Another large part of the culture is also complete honesty and ownership. So, which is why there is no blame game.
I try to teach them the same thing.
Amazing.
Please own your work. It's your work. It is given to you. You should be responsible for it.
Yeah.
Because when you feel responsible to it, you will make sure that you will do it without any mistake. Or if you make a mistake, at least you will learn how to solve it.
So when I'm saying learning, so I mean this kind of mentorship or whatever keeps happening through discussions. There is an open discussion and there is an open learning. There are only two parameters there. One is that there is a certain standard that you as an organization set. Today the reputation precedes, and they're here, so they know that okay, this is it. So you know कि उससे नीचे नहीं जाना है. The other is there is a certain standard that you every time build and set for yourself. कि हमें पता है ये इससे नीचे नहीं जाना है. और दूसरा हुआ ओनरशिप विद रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. सो एक हो गया क्वालिटी, दूसरा हो गया रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, विच मीन्स कि ये टाइम पे होना है. तो दोनों चीज आ गई. इट्स ऑलवेज द फाइट फॉर एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज टाइम एंड क्वालिटी. करेक्ट? You may give a lot of time with full dedication and not get enough quality. Then there is something else which is wrong. These parameters individuals today need to set for themselves and they keep fluctuating. ऐसा नहीं है कि यही एक बेस्ट है या यही बेस्ट है. आपका स्टैंडर्ड आपकी उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से भी ऊपर हो सकता है. एंड दैट क्यूमुलेटिवली ब्रिंग्स the quality of that organization also up, because वो तो करना ही है ना. It's not a standard, it's an organic animal. It keeps changing and evolving.
You keep growing. Yeah. I would really like to thank you for doing this. I personally got to learn a lot of things, and I'm pretty sure I myself will be an audience of it, and I'll be watching it again and again, because this experience is something that what I was truly seeking for this platform.